Good morning, everybody. So it looks like we're off to a pretty interesting start, to say the least. Let's see how this plays out. We're going to have to take a look at. Uh, it's kind of interesting what's going on here, but we're just seeing no real response so far to this data that was just released. So we're going to have to just see how that plays out. It's kind of important to watch, to say the least, but let's just focus on it and see how it plays out. But I think there's a bunch of stocks that came with the earnings last night that we need to go over. And I'm sending this out to a couple places right now. Give me 1 minute. But I think that you have to look at this as, what are we seeing, right? Like, what's really going on out there? Like, look, to me, you're going to have some stocks sell down. Look at NVIDIA this morning. We're testing that support line. Maybe it breaks it. Maybe it doesn't. We'll know in an hour. Until then, I don't sell in panics pre-market. It's just not me. I learned a long time ago it's a huge mistake. What I will say is, just to go through a couple very, very quickly here, is that you are seeing no bounce here at all in this name. So I just want to start there. Like, you're seeing zero, like literally zero bounce. And, that is it's just imploding, to say the least. There's really not much more to say. I think if you look at what's going on out there, it's somewhat troubling, because if you're in that, you're on the scale, you're looking at it saying good report, decent report. It's not responding like a good report, right? At all, right? It's responding like a very bad report. And there's some stuff that I have to read about allocation and things like that. I really have to dig into the report. I don't have the time this morning for obvious reasons. But look, this 241 was key, and we talked about that last night in the top 5x5. And if you can't hold that, you have an issue. Okay, you have an issue, and you're seeing that issue this morning. So this can get a lot worse. And I just want to cover these two very quickly, and then I'll take your questions. So what we're seeing here, and what we need to focus on, is if you break this, there's very little support till you start getting into these levels like 210, right? Then you start walking your way down. Now, if you throw in the bells and whistles and the indicators, there's nothing really here to 170, right? And you're really looking at this. This is it. So to say that this can get ugly, this can get ugly. So you're going to have to take that into account. I think this can get a lot worse than people think it can. Okay, I'm going to say that about a lot of names today. So you had a huge move up, and if you didn't take it, you're going to see people sell massively. And the reason for that is because a lot of institutions are underperforming, and they just don't want to be in things that are going to underperform. They don't want to take the risk. Okay, that's what we're seeing across the board. But look, if this can hold that 21-day today, that's very interesting, right? So you could actually use that 21-day as support, and then we get you an exact number on coin. I didn't think coin was that bad. They missed on revenues, but you're looking at the future projections of the company. So you're looking at 313.57. I would use that line. If you see a bounce to that, or you see it come into that level, that's definitely something that you could look at and look at utilizing. So they're the two that I really want to focus on. I want to talk about Dash as well, but let me take some questions and we can start getting into it. Good morning, Cameron and Janice. Good morning, boss. Hey, Ro. So let's go there. OKTA crowd. So let's start. OKTA. I just typed that in. I don't know where that went. Okay. OKTA. There we go. All right, let's start here. So here's what you're seeing. And, you're seeing a nice little move pop out of here. Let's just go through this. You haven't had earnings yet, but you're really in this massive trading range, right? You're basically in this enormous base. So let's do ourselves a favor, because we know that when we're in a trendless kind of market, moving averages don't really mean anything. We don't have to worry about earnings, right? So let's just focus on this. Okay. And let me just focus back onto this room. There we go. Perfect. So what you're seeing is you're seeing this line right here. You need to break above this and stay above it. And I didn't draw it perfectly. Let me draw it a little bit better. So you see what I'm dealing with? Like, why would I play with that until it breaks? And you basically have a symmetrical wedge, right? Maybe it's symmetrical. Yeah, it looks symmetrical. So you have a symmetrical wedge. Let it play itself out. Let it pick a direction, right? Right now you have what? Higher lows. I'm sorry. You have lower highs. It's time for a little more coffee. Been going at it early today. And you have higher lows. So you have lower highs, right? And you have higher lows. So let it play itself out. Don't tell it what it's going to do. Let's see what it does, right? So that one I'd watch. Look, I think that you could rotate into software. I've been waiting for this to go, and I'm just not seeing it, to be honest with you. Like, here's this other wick. We try to do it again, and we kind of fail. We're above this bar again, 288. I'm going to be blunt. This is your stop. If you close below 288, you have an issue, okay? Seriously, bonk, 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 bonk. Right? Finally close above it, all-time high close. If you don't go and you close below this, you have to get out. It's just telling you, it's just pulling the flim flam. You got to go, not stay in it. Docs. So, yeah, I mean, I don't see it. I don't see a reason to play this. You had earnings, right? Let's get rid of this. So you had earnings, and that's what you did. And now let's look at where you're at. So, right? So this is not something that you're going to want to play with, right? Earnings were not received well, apparently. Okay. And let's drill into this, because one of the things that we like to do, and you might want to jot this down and remember, one of the key things to do is to look at the after-hour data in a 1 and 15-minute time frame, right? And let's get rid of these indicators because we really don't need them. And let's just see if our support and resistance lines that we had, right, when they were here. I'll just show you this really quickly so you can see what we're looking at, okay? So here's our support and resistance lines on the daily, okay? And then here they are on the 15-minute. And you can see how we respected down here, right? And you can see how that coincides, right with this line, okay? And then you can see how this coincides here as we've bounced up here and how that coincides with that line. There's your range, okay? So now you know where your range is. To me, this is a rising wedge. These end badly. They end usually with a frozen rope down. So I would hold off on that. So I actually like the way you're doing this on the double screen. It seemed pretty cool to show that, actually. It made it easier. So let's get into this. So the VEEK, I'd be careful there, real careful. BGVF. So it looks like they're going to play with this one again, right? So it seems like they want to play with this one. Look, here's your data. You come up with data, runs up, pulls back, and now they're just playing games. You can see where the sellers are, and this is where the people, look, there's a reason they call these pump and dumps, right? The people up here got pumped up and bought it, and somebody else dumped it on them. So now you have a level that's going to constantly be rejected, okay? Because you have people locked in there. So they're just excited to get out even. So until that cleans itself out, you don't want to go near it. Good morning, Jen. So I think CAT can work. The issue, obviously, let's go here and address this. So I think it can work, put in the bells and whistles. You ran right to the 200 and you rejected, okay? And then you have this bar encompassing that bar, right? Not totally, but you basically have what? A bearish engulfing, okay? So now you have this pattern. You still have the 21 and the 50 pointing up. You still have this pointing up. You just need to clean this up. So I wouldn't go near this until I'm above this level now, right? That's when I would look at it. That's 4 points. That's nothing. It's nothing on a name like this, right? So just consider that. Okay. PayPal, I don't know how you go near it. I actually thought it was going to break yesterday, and it didn't. A lot of these just look like they're completely broken. But this was the level. Let me get rid of these indicators. This is the level I was watching yesterday because this is your H. And I'm like, man, if we break this, we're going to 190. We didn't break, and we actually tried to rally at the end of the day. That rally's not being receptive right now, right, to say the least. And that could be for several reasons. It could be this number that came out, you know, the what do you call it number was not great. The CPI number coming in at like 6% is just awful. And they're not doing anything about it, which is just, it's just worse. But you know, you're going to see some selling in tech based upon that. I mean, I think that's what we're seeing. But anyway, in regards to this, just watch this level, see if it breaks. Okay. Ford. So Ford, we've had a nice run on, and I think that we just have to be aware of something. So people are buying Ford in anticipation of Rivian going public. Okay. This is a huge move for Ford, right? From earnings. Okay. This is huge. Ford doesn't move 20%. Very, very rarely, right? Like here's one more time it did it, but it just doesn't do that. So what does that mean? It means you have to watch it. We have to see what happens. So to me, that's really what I want to do. I want to watch it and I want to see what happens. So I think you have to understand that when Rivian goes public today, this might be the high, okay? That could actually be the high of the stock. And you need to consider that. That could be the short-term high. Doesn't mean you're going to stay there, right? But that could be the short-term high. Hold on one second. So what we're going to have to do is just see how this plays out. And let's just keep going. From my understanding, the loan amounts were lower than expected, and forecast is getting back up. Yeah, I saw that. Look, they have a lot of competition. I said this before. We were referring to UPST. I said this before. People were like all excited because this company came out and had great numbers. And I posed a question saying maybe they're eating UPST's lunch, and everyone's like, no, it's just that industry is really hot. Apparently it's not, right? Apparently it's not that hot. Apparently LC is eating their lunch. So, you know, just because one company in the space does well does not mean that the other company is going to do it. You just need to keep that in mind. Hold on one second. So, bear with me 1 second, getting coffee. Okay, let's get back to it here. So, and as you can see, you're just seeing, you know, you're seeing sell. If you look over here, I mean, everything just keeps dropping. This can get really ugly. Okay, this can get really ugly today, Tesla. Just FYI, like super ugly. So you could get down to here fairly easy today. So it could just be a bloodbath, especially with Rivian going public. So let's just go with Cameron. Yeah, Amazon did great. So like, look, you have to be careful here. Okay. These stocks trade up, and then when this news hits, they collapse. Okay. When the underlying company that they're moving up on becomes public, it starts to dissipate. People buy that company. Okay. They'll buy that company. It increases supply of the underlying parent companies. Is how I'm going to refer to them, as parent companies, even though they're not. They're just investors, but it's just easier for people to wrap their head around it that way. But look, you went right to this break. Let's just go through exactly what transpired here in Amazon. All we did was go here, right? And then what? Bonk, bonk. So I don't see any reason to get all like giddy. Now, just be careful. If you take out this high, that's great. If you don't, realize that today could be a pretty nasty day for you with Amazon. And it could be a pretty nasty day with Ford too, right? Just be aware of that. I've seen it happen several times in my life of trading. LCID had its day in the sun. Right? You're going to see weakness here. People are going to go to the next shiny object, right? What's the next shiny object? Okay, Rivian. Okay, so why own this when I could own Rivian? That's the new one. And that's what's going to happen. And that's why you're going to see selling based upon that. not saying it makes sense. I'm saying what's going to happen. Um, let's go here. Morning, Bob. So, hey, Rob, thoughts on AMD dropping? Yeah, well, look, I mean, here's what's going on. Okay, let's go through this, and I'm just going to pull this up because we're in this. So, this was something we put in the newsletter. Again, there's a free version of the newsletter that comes out weekly. They'll be in the description today. Okay, look, this break is where we got in. Okay, we traded up. We did excellent. This is what you're dealing with this morning. I mean, I'll just show this because it's right there. If you know, I put this newsletter last night. Okay, that's enough. We just moved, over 25% in a 3x ETF, which means you just had a 10% move in the stocks in what period of time, right? I mean, what? So just right in a week, I'm up 36%. Okay, so the underlying index has to be up 10%, right? So to think that you're not going to come in and have some selling is just, frolics. It's just nonsense. So I think that you could come down on the semiconductors down to here. I'm not the big panic here. Look, I have a ton of NVIDIA, and if it breaks my stop, I'm out. That's it. The trade's over. It doesn't mean that I didn't capitalize and make a lot of money, but when we broke out, I wanted to see if we were going to go. I want to make real money, not just like pennies. So, I mean, it's just the way that I trade. Everybody trades differently. I'm not interested in buying this. If it breaks down, I'm out. I'm out of the stop. I do like the action that I'm seeing in it pre-market. I know people aren't crazy about it, but to me, I don't really view this as, let's get rid of these indicators. I really don't view this as that awful, right? I view this as follow through 1, 2, and maybe we bounce off this level. Maybe we don't, but only time's going to tell. As far as AMD, you're chasing if you're in it. To me, I mean, we're in those other two trades. I did not play AMD. AMD could pull back to these levels. Like there's just literally no support. Like here, let me just show it this way. NVIDIA is not pulling back to here. It's not going to happen, right? That's not going to happen. You're not going to trade this amount of volume and pull back to this. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to trade 85 million shares and then all of a sudden just go, oops, it was a mistake, right? With AMD, it's a little different of a story. Why? Yes, you have this spike here, but at the same time, you don't have any support until you're at 123, 124. So it's a different kind of trade. So I'm not crazy about this one at all. That's not something that I would be looking at. So, you're welcome, Ro, anytime. Look, you have to, here's the news with this. It's always that the federal government is going to come out and they're going to allow them to sell whatever. This is coming up with earnings. Okay, the last earnings was a dumpster fire. Okay, just be careful. I would not be buying these. I think the easiest trade in the world is when when they come out and say the federal government's going to do this or that and pot stocks are going to go crazy. Do you have any idea how much pot is out there? Like how many people make pot? It's absolutely insane. So look, you're above the 50, maybe you run, maybe you get up here. To me, any rallies are just shorts. They're just outright shorts. And there's so much supply of stock. You just need to consider that. So, GPS or GES. Hey, Eric. I kind of like this chart. I'm not going to lie. I kind of like this. I like charts that do this. I do well with them. Okay. I do well with these kinds of charts. I mean, I just do. Maybe it's just my, the way that I trade. You're going into earnings. I can't imagine they're going to be great, right? But you never know. I mean, there's your level that you have to watch. But look at how this is all turning beforehand. But where you're going to get to, maybe you get to 28 and a half. So you're going to have to watch that and see how that plays out. I don't know that I would be chasing that, Eric. Let me grab my coffee mug here. All right. Get back to it. So in regards to GES, I mean, same soup reheated, right? exact same pattern. And then you're only going to get to here. You might be better off letting these play out and get above the 200 day because they had an issue before, unless you're just trying to make a couple dollars. Eric. Hey, Shock. ANBN. I don't know what ANBN is. I'm wondering if you mean Airbnb. Or maybe you mean, yeah, I think you mean Airbnb. So I took a starter position in this and it didn't work. So I got stopped out of it yesterday. Now, the question is, what do you do with this now? Well, for me, I think what I would be looking at is, let's look at how this is going to play itself out today, right? How is this going to play itself out? I think you could come down to this 8-day. I don't think you're going to break the 8-day, right? So where would I buy it? I might try to see if it hits that 8-day 186 today, and maybe there's a trade there, right? But we know what this is. Like, so if we get rid of this, for those that watch that candlestick video, and I can't link videos in the back of this, but for those that watch that candlestick video, let me get rid of this. We know what this is, right? We know that this is basically a shooting star after this. Then it broke that level. That's all I needed to see yesterday. I was out immediately. I didn't wait for the close. I didn't wait for anything. When you break like these shooting stars, they can get nasty. And it did. And it's not the goal of selling here. The issue that you also sell is so that you don't panic sell here, right? Even though it could then trade itself back up, you just have to protect your capital. And so now this needs to build base and set itself up. Doesn't mean it's not going higher. It's just not going higher right now. I don't think this trade's over by a long shot, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see how that plays out and go from there. So, oh, you're welcome. My pleasure. But just be careful. Yeah, Laura, you have to start using stops. I mean, you got to start using stops. It can't be any clearer. Like, if you don't use stops, you're going to get stopped out of trading. It's that simple. Use stops or you'll stop trading, period. Write it down, put a sticker on your computer. You're welcome, boss. Plug Microsoft. So there's your level. You came up with earnings and you're kind of hanging in there. So I think that's kind of interesting, right? You could bounce here. You really could bounce here. So for me, what I was looking for, if you could hold in here, that would just be, it'd be nice. So let's see how that plays out. I like this. I was looking at it yesterday. For those that watched yesterday's video, let's see how it plays out. I think this could do okay. You're holding this line. You have to hold that 38 level. Microsoft. Okay, I'm way behind here already, aren't I? All right. Microsoft. So, I left the stop where it is. Look, if you're super concerned about this and you want to get out, okay, you would use the 8-day. If you're super conservative, use the 8-day. I just don't feel like buying it back, frankly. So I'm going to give it more room. Trying to time buying Microsoft's not easy. So I want to give it some room. But if you're uncomfortable, you should be using that 8-day, right? Because if you haven't broken that 8-day, what you're looking for is you're looking for a level that it hasn't broken since you've been in it, right? I mean, that's what you're looking for because that determines the change in trend. So just remember that. So we see how you changed here. You're up in the 8, bonk, 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 bonk. Resistance becomes what? Support, bonk, 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 right? And then it goes. So you could use that if you're super cautious, right? If you don't want to play games. So, oh, you're welcome, Eric. Hey, Terry, is Cody on your radar? It's not on my radar. I'll tell you that right now. Look, that's a really good looking chart with solid volume, and you have this huge base. I mean, you're gonna. I mean, Terry, you know me. I'm gonna tell you exactly where your level is, right? I mean, you can see it. Okay, this long red nasty bars in charge, And as long as we stay above that 1050, I'm interested. I'd be interested in that. I'd certainly be interested if you got above that 1085. If you got above 1085 on Cody, it could go. I'll definitely watch that today, because if that happens, this is the kind of trade that works today, right? Everybody else is selling large caps, tech, inflation woes, all that stuff. So UNG and spot. Yeah, I mean, this is just disastrous. I'm surprised it's doing that bad considering what's going on out there. So I don't know the reason why this is dropping the way that it is. It seems to drop on the CPI. I'm not entirely sure why. I haven't delved through the CPI. I don't know if it was bad for energy. I can't imagine that it was, but I have to go through that. What do you do here? I mean, there's your answer, right? You broke your 50-day. If an institution doesn't want it, why do I? You're probably going to here. Probably going to 12. I'd be careful there. Spot. I love Spot. Like Spot's like one of my, like company-wise, I love it. We had a trade on it. It went right to the 301 level and rejected. Now you're trapped between support and resistance lines, right? 278. See how you stopped right there? So this is possible that this forms one of those patterns I just showed in that 3 pattern candlestick video, right? Remember we showed homing pigeons and bullish hook reversals. This is setting up for one. It's not there yet, but it's setting up for one. Now you have to watch this line, because if you break this, you're going to go to here. And then you could come down to here and you start playing with all these levels in here. But you have a lot of support in here in all these different little places. So it'll catch somewhere. We just have to see where. But I long term, I like the name a lot. I just think you're going through some pain right now. Yeah, Jen, I saw that. I saw PubM. Dash killed it too. It's interesting. No one's brought up Dash either. You have to watch this. I mean, look, this is what it did last night. So we look at our range, right? We always look at our range. So we understand where we're at, okay? This is your range from the earnings. You have not broken above it since then. So that could go anywhere, and it could bounce in this range all day long. So you need to understand that. So until I'm above that and close above that level, I'm not interested. But yes, they crushed it. Crushed earnings. Congratulations if you are in it. If I was in it, I'd stay in it. Joseph, I like ENPH. I just, I think that you're in a different environment, right? We just went through look, environments change. Okay. So we were in what? We were in a breakaway market. Does it feel like we're in a breakaway market right now? So, not really, no, right? What did this stock do that the majority of stocks, right, have not done yet? Well, since we broke above the 8-day, all we've done is go higher, right? Support, resistance became what? See how it was resistance here? Okay. Let me just do it this way for a minute, because this is important to understand. So what we're looking for is patterns, right? Patterns are in everything. So you see how the 8 was resistance? See how the 8 flipped to support? See how it flipped back to resistance now? If it closes here, okay, that's what you want to look for. It's just what you're looking for, patterns. So I wouldn't chase it, but you could come back down here, build, and then go higher. It's just not something I'm going to chase. But it looks good overall. I mean, a great quarter. Ro, I did Microsoft. Hopefully you saw it. Yes, I thought so. I wouldn't be in LCID. I mean, I wouldn't be in it. We had a trade in a chain, and we were out, right? We had those. Well, I don't know if you're in the room or not. Whenever I'm in this, I don't know who's in our trading room, who's not. But our trade, we had an option trade out. We carried a trade over the weekend out. Like, there's no reason to be in this now. There's nothing redeeming about that chart. What, these 2 wicks? Like, what do you see that's appealing? The rejection of 50? Like, there's just nothing. I don't know why you're in this, right? Is how I would look at it, right? So the question becomes, How do you think this stock's going to respond today when Rivian goes public and everybody wants to own the next new shiny thing, right? This could have a really bad day, just like Tesla could have a really bad day. Okay. Just keep that in mind. A lot of people want to own this Rivian company. A lot of people want to own the next Tesla, right? They know that Tesla is not going to 10 trillion tomorrow, right? But they know that this Rivian company may go to 1 trillion one day. Okay. That's how they think. Oh, Open's done. Yeah. Open's toast. Yeah. That's just toast. No need to be in it. We actually had it in the newsletter and took a loss. Yeah. Just avoid apps. You have to avoid, just avoid it. You know, we had a nice trade in it. We made some money, honored the stop. We made $15 and 11 and a half. You know, we got right to the target earnings. People have to make a decision whether or not they want to hold in the earnings. You know, and I get that. Like, this was a big enough cushion. We were in at $70, so we were up $23. It could have gone, right? I mean, when you're up 28%, sometimes you let it rip. This one didn't work that way. I'm kind of liking this, just leaving the 8 in right now. So let's just go here and go SEMR. Okay. $26.31. There's your break. I mean, you got to kind of have to watch this, right? The earnings moved it, right? So let's see what's going on. Oh, here's your break. It's kind of thinly traded. I'd be careful. Like, that's not a lot of volume. This could just bounce around. Be really careful here. I expect them to take a break and pause, Dan. I expect them to pause. We just had a huge move. I covered it a little earlier if you want to backtrack on it, but I expect them to pause. I don't think it's a bad thing, but that's what I expect. You know, we'll see. Yeah, please like this video and please share it. You know, I also comment. I purposely don't put ads on here when I rerun it so people can watch it. Just keep that in mind. And the YouTube algorithm won't really show it unless I put ads on it, but I prefer to do it this way and just share it. PubM I covered. Melly, I like Melly. I think Melly looks great. I had an option trade I was looking at, and I just paused on it because I didn't like where we were on the indexes, but this looks great. Since you came out with earnings, this is what you've done. You had a great day, then you pulled back, and then you had another really weird wick day. But look, these wicks are cleared. This is telling you what's coming. Okay. And you're going to start breaking these levels. That's what the plan is, right? The plan is that you break this trend line, then you break this trend line, and then you go. And that very well could be the case. So I just don't see sense in doing anything with it. Oh, it's already spiked on the news. Let me be abundantly clear. No one knows how Rivian's going to open. Okay, nobody knows how Rivian's going to open. Let me be abundantly clear on this. So what I have seen in the past in similar situations is a possible run up after Rivian opens, and other times I've just watched it. They've completely collapsed this day because everybody knows it's coming, right? So as we start learning the cycles and as everybody starts doing the same kinds of trades and learning them, the patterns shift, right? That's why you'll notice that, like, sometimes certain trade patterns don't work anymore because everybody's doing them. So you have to adapt. So usually what happens is this runs up today, right? And then after it runs up, then it sells down when the stock goes public, when Rivian goes public. That might not be the case. It might just go down. But what I'm saying and what I'm getting at is that I do think today, wherever we wind up by the end of the day, is probably the short-term top. That's the best way that I can explain it. That's where the probability is leaning, MESF. Yeah, I don't really understand why the 10-year didn't move. And maybe that's why we're starting to watch some of these semis bounce and we're starting to watch tech come back a little bit. I don't know. I mean, that was an awful number. I like swing. I like the action in it. I'm not in it. I think, we got stopped out at break even. We took a shot. It just didn't work. This move was great. I mean, that's everything you want, right? I mean, that's everything you want in a move. So, I mean, you don't want anything more than like we come out with earnings and the stock rips and then just goes higher. I mean, that's the trade. That's like the dream trade. I'll just leave it at the fact that I just don't have a position in it. And I like when you have these tails. I like these tails because that just means complete rejection. And all these people, nobody, right? And now you're here. So I like those moves. That could work, Swing. So EOG, Indy, no. I mean, like, look, we had one. We're just sitting with it. Here, I think we're in at what, 91? Yeah, we're up 5 points. Just leaving it alone. I wouldn't chase that here. You could buy it, but you want to buy it on dips. You don't want to chase them. BIGV, possible short squeeze. I don't know. I don't have that symbol. Yes. Hey, Brian. I was laughing at this last night. We're all buying these companies, AI lenders, NFTs, crypto company brokers, and it's the delivery guy that comes out and crushes. Like, it's crazy. And they crushed. Everybody's very happy with the report and how they're doing. I was actually surprised by it, but you're seeing more and more people do takeout, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what the reason for it. You think you would see it less with food prices going up and people cooking. But we're not. So I like it. I'm watching the 226 level today. Okay. I'm watching that 226 level today. So, hey, Ava, let's take a look. I'm behind. I'm going to have to speed this up. You are, but look where you're coming to. And look what happened so far. This was our level that we were watching, this 184 level. And so far you came up to it and you kind of bonked. Let's go drill into this a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, you ripped on the earnings and now you're just kind of holding at that level. I would just watch that level, Ava. It could keep going. It absolutely could. It could run and keep going. Still on the other indexes for a moment because they're probably near some. Yeah. So what you're saying is we don't really need that one. Let me get rid of this, clean this up a little bit and blow this up. So what you're seeing here is you're sitting right at the 50-day and resistance. So just watch that because that at 50 days where institutions sell. Okay. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. I have no idea. MNDT. Let's take a look. I'm going to jump to the front here. MNDT because I got to wrap this up. Yeah, that's an interesting chart, but I have no volume. I'm just going to jump to the front here. NVIDIA, in the video we have as a trade. I mean, for me, it's if I break the 294, I'll just blow it out and find another spot to get involved. I'm hoping it holds because I have a very large position in it. So I'm hoping it holds. We've done exceptionally well with it, right? I mean, we're up 50% on one, 40% in the other. But, if it breaks here, you have to make a decision. Do you want to go for that ride to 286? Okay, if it breaks 286, you're going at 268. That's not how I trade, right? I get out at the first sign of a problem. That way I don't have to deal with it, right? Your first stop loss is your best stop loss, right? It's just the way it is. BG, it's possible, but I went over that level earlier, Indy. It's in there. Yeah, I'm in TTD. I have a starter position. And I'm just holding it for now. So I'm not doing anything with it. I'm just holding it. I think it did well yesterday. I'm very curious to see what happens with this market today. Okay, this market has shrugged off CPI data before, and we could very well shrug it off again today. I don't know if that's the case or if we're going to close below the 8-day for the first time. Okay, so I'm just not sure yet. I don't have a read, right? The past 3 days have kind of been like womp womp, right? They're just not great days. But do we break the 8-day or do we stay above it? So you're going to have to watch that. Let's just keep going. Kindi overnight. I saw this. Okay, I don't buy stocks before earnings. I just don't do that. It's crazy. You're gambling. You're literally better off just going and putting it on black and red, and then just at least you have the rest of your evening. So, I mean, ask the people. I can't tell you the amount of people that sent me DMs and emails for telling them, with UPST if they didn't have a profit on it, that they need to be out of it. How many people thank me for that? You have to be really smart, right? You have to use your head. So why would I want to step in front of a train and maybe it works? So you got to get above that level. AMPL. Yeah, I would just watch that. You have this long red nasty bar. I'm going to touch base on this, and I'm going to have to get ready here. UPS. I like UPS. Now, the thing about UPS that's very interesting is that UPS is crushing. I was talking to someone about this. As far as hiring, UPS is crushing FedEx, crushing them. It's a better place to work. People are making more money, better benefits. That's the name of the game right now. Bodies, right? Boy, I have a lot of lines on this chart. Geez, let's do that. Okay, that's much prettier. So here's where you're at. There's your level. I'm not touching it till I close above there. But this could work. And you're coming into the Christmas season. So I get it. Hey, Kane. All right, I'm going to have to wrap this up. But let's get going. I thought I saw one more I really want to cover. RBLX. Look, I'm in this. I'm doing nothing with it. I'll see how it acts off the open. Maybe it sells down. Maybe it bounces. I have no idea. I'd like it to hold this level. But, we'll have to see. We'll have to see how the entire market reacts today to what's going on. And maybe it sells down. So... And Tesla I covered, I think, a couple times in here, Kane. I'll just do it real quick again, and then I got to go. Look, we closed it out. We closed out the entire position yesterday. We had 4 BPAs on it. These were the average profits on it. These were the returns on it. We're on to the next one. What you have to watch is this 1,000 level, okay? You break that and the 21-day, there's nothing to stop you from getting to here. Nothing. And you could see a ton of volume in this today because you have people that want the money to go buy Rivian. So, all right, that's it, everybody. Have a great trading day. If you need me or have questions, you can email me here. Okay. Everybody trade sharp. Have a good day.